Welcome back to Hidden Indie Games, the little corner where we dig into projects that usually stay, well, hidden. And yes, I already know what some of you are thinking. Why don't you just make videos about games everyone already knows? Because that's not the point of this channel. The goal here is not chasing trends or shouting about the same 3 indie hits over and over again. The real goal is talking about indie games and, when possible, telling the story behind them. How they were born, what went wrong, what went right, and what the developers had to survive to get here. The game itself matters, sure, but the journey matters more. And to all the developers watching this, don't be shy. If you have a project you believe in, reach out. Seriously, what's the worst that can happen? Nothing. Today, we are talking about a game made by 2 Chinese developers, and it's called Take You Home. Take You Home is a minimalist 2D puzzle platformer built in Unity, with a very striking black and white visual style. You play in a monochrome space where the rules are simple but constantly messing with your brain. The core idea is very straightforward. You can move, you can jump, you can swap black and white, and you can flip gravity. That's it. If you get stuck, you flip the world. If something looks impossible, you change perspective. The game does not introduce 1,000 mechanics. Instead, it takes a few very clear rules and slowly pushes them in smarter and smarter ways. The goal, at least on the surface, is to chase a mysterious black cat that appears from time to time. Why are we chasing it? What does it represent? Who knows? As you move forward through the levels, the game slowly builds a narrative that feels warm but also a bit sad. The kind of sad that sneaks up on you instead of slapping you in the face. Originally, Take You Home started as a small demo made for a Chinese game jam event back in 2018. One of the developers came up with a black and white swapping mechanic. They implemented it quickly and immediately felt there was something interesting. But like many game jam ideas, it was shelved. Life happened, work happened, and the project stayed dormant for years. Fast forward to this year, when the 2 developers decided to go indie and work on their own game. They went back to that old demo, looked at it with fresh eyes, and decided it deserved to become a full game. This already tells you something important. This is not a random idea thrown together in 6 months. It is something that has been quietly growing in the background for years. The demo version of the game includes around 30 handcrafted levels, all built around the same core mechanics but each with its own twist. The full version is planned to include 60 levels, so double, selected from more than 120 prototypes that were created and tested during development. That alone tells you how much iteration went into level design. 79 Studio is a 2-person indie game studio. Both developers have over 10 years of experience working as game designers in commercial game studios. After years of working on corporate projects, they reached the breaking point. The joy was gone, and they wanted to build something personal. One of them handles programming, while the other focuses on art production. This kind of complementary skill set is almost the dream scenario for a small indie team. They officially started working on Take You Home at the beginning of this year, treating it as both a creative project and a test. A test to see if they could handle the entire development process from start to finish, without publishers, without corporate constraints, and without cutting corners just to please someone else. Their goal with this game is not massive commercial success. They want to release a complete, polished product, learn from the process, and understand what they need to improve for future projects. That mindset is very healthy, especially for a first indie release. Level design went through multiple iterations. Early versions of the game leaned more toward precision platforming, with tighter jumps and more mechanical difficulty. Over time, they realized that core mechanic worked better as a pure puzzle platformer. Many levels were reworked or discarded entirely. Like I said before, out of more than 120 created levels, only 60 made it into the final game, based on pacing and overall experience. Unity played a big role in development, especially the tile map system. Interestingly, some of the visual effects, like the flickering ground, were discovered almost by accident while experimenting with tile map features. This is a good reminder that sometimes tools surprise you if you give them space to. The most challenging technical part was the custom movement and collision system. Building it from scratch meant dealing with countless edge cases, bugs, and refactors. It seems painful, and honestly, every developer watching this knows that kind of pain. I'll be honest, when I first saw the Steam page, I did not expect much. My first reaction was something like, okay, here we go again. Another minimalist indie game with assets that look simple and safe. I was wrong, and I am very happy I was wrong. Once you actually play the game, the minimalist design starts to make sense. It is not lazy, it is intentional. The black and white world feels cohesive, and the contrast helps you immediately understand what is solid, what is empty, and what can change. There is no visual noise, which is extremely important in a puzzle platformer where clarity is everything. The cat presence adds a surprising amount of emotional weight. You are not just solving puzzles for the sake of solving puzzles. You feel like you are following something, or maybe someone, even if the game never spells it out directly. This subtle narrative approach reminded me a lot of games like Limbo, not because they look identical, but because they both trust the player to feel instead of explaining everything with text. The gravity flipping mechanic is another strong point. I know we've seen it in other indie games, but I like it. Turning the world upside down never really gets old, especially when combined with the color swapping. Sometimes you genuinely lose track of whether you're upside down or not, and that moment of confusion is actually part of the fun. It forces you to stop, think, and reorient yourself instead of mindlessly holding the right arrow key. Even though the game itself is genuinely good, I want to go back to my first impression. The store page and the trailer did not immediately sell me on the experience. And that is a problem, because many players will never get past that first impression. The presentation could use a stronger hook, something that immediately communicates why this game is special, beyond being black and white. Minimalism is great, but it can also look generic if not framed correctly. The trailer and screenshots should do a better job of showing the gravity flipping and the clever puzzle design in action. Another point is the main character. Right now, you control a simple rectangle. Functionally, it works perfectly, but visually and emotionally, it does not give you much to connect with. A slightly more expressive character could make the experience stronger. Maybe something a bit clumsy, something that feels like it belongs in the strange world. Even a simple shape can have personality if animated in the right way. Take You Home is a small, quiet game with a big heart. It is good for players who enjoy puzzle platformers that make you think instead of rush. And for anyone who appreciates subtle storytelling. It is also a great example for beginner indie developers of how far you can go with a simple idea if you commit to it fully. As you can see, there are game developers all over the world doing interesting things, and that genuinely makes me happy. If you are working on a project and want to talk about it, write it down in the comments. I love seeing different ideas and stories. Let me know what you think about Take You Home in the comments. And if you tried the demo, I'm curious to hear your experience. Thanks for watching!